So we're going to check that out. But before we do, just because a bunch of people mentioned that Robert spoke at a congressional hearing on Islam and Sharia, we're going to go ahead and check that out because it's short. He had 5 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and check this out, and then we'll get into the PBD video.
Nice.
So here we go. Here's Robert Spencer speaking to Congress about Sharia. And hats off to Congress for not being stupid once in their entire existence. Here we go.
Mr. Spencer, remind you to turn your microphone on, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. The U.S. Constitution and Sharia are incompatible, and the conflict between the two legal systems will grow as Sharia adherents increase in number in the West. This fact has been obscured by misinformation about what Sharia actually is. When the city of Keller, Texas, scrapped an anti-Sharia resolution in January 2026, the Hamas-linked Council on American-Islamic Relations, CAIR, stated that like canon law for Catholics and halakha for Orthodox Jews, Sharia refers to the rules that Muslims follow, including praying 5 times a day, fasting in Ramadan, giving in charity, and following the laws of the land in which they live. If that were really all that Sharia were about, no reasonable person would have any problem with it.
Yeah, what he's talking about now, I mean, this has been going on for years, and this was, it's just amazing that it's CAIR that it has been pushing this nonsense. But I mentioned before, Robert used to be brought in to like train people in the government on what Sharia is and on what jihad is and so on. Muslim organizations started complaining, how dare you get this Islamophobe? You need someone who's Muslim approved to teach you about jihad and Sharia. And so what happens so then you get rid of all the people who are telling you the truth about jihad and Sharia, and then you get Muslim organizations telling you, here's who's going to train your people. And of course they say, what? Oh, like what's Sharia? It's just praying 5 times a day. It's just going to the mosque. Why would anyone have a problem with this? That's what you're opposed to? That's what you're opposed to? And so they basically took over educating the entire government. And how stupid do you need to be? You've got an ideology that calls for your violent subjugation. And you say, okay, who's going to teach us and educate us about this ideology that calls for our violent subjugation? Oh, let's get people who believe in the ideology that calls for our violent subjugation to come and train us on what we're supposed to think about all this. Yeah, and so Robert there is pointing out that they were saying this. You guys weren't here, but I'm sure you're familiar with it. But it became a big thing. This may be like 10 years ago when they had the That's My Jihad campaign.
Oh, yeah.
It was everywhere. It was all over the sides of buses. It was in the subways. It was on billboards. But it was, I struggle to get my kid to school, but also get a workout before I get home to do the housework.
Yeah.
That's my jihad. What's yours? Yeah. And so they made it like jihad is just these completely normal things that you struggle with in some sense.
Yeah, planting flowers
Yeah,
is my
like,
jihad.
because people in the desert, Muhammad's time, they went to gyms and took their kids on school runs.
Yeah, and then it was things like my jihad is building bridges with people who disagree with me. It's, my goodness, it's like embarrassingly terrible. But tons of people fell for it. But for whatever reason, now they've got Robert Spencer in there, so pretty darn cool.
Nice.
CAIR doesn't mention, however, that Sharia is inherently political, supremacist, expansionist,
absolutely,
and violent.
Yep.
Far from being the Islamophobic conspiracy theories of CAIR's imagining, these are facts that Muslim authorities on Sharia openly attest. Reliance of the Traveler, Umdat al-Salik, is a classic manual of Islamic sacred law that is Sharia. In 1990, Dr. Taha Jabir al-Awani, president of the International Institute of Islamic Thought, as well as president of the Fiqh Council of North America, stated that this Sharia manual was useful as a textbook for teaching Islamic jurisprudence. The most prestigious institution of Islamic learning in the world, Al-Azhar in Cairo, stated in 1991 that the same manual of Sharia conforms to the practice and faith of the Orthodox Sunni community. We read in this same guide to Sharia that jihad means war against non-Muslims and that it is a communal obligation upon the Muslim community.
Yep.
The object of this war is to establish the hegemony of Sharia over the conquered land.
Just, I mean, like a point that should be so obvious to anyone with an above, 75 IQ. It's like just notice the difference. Like Robert goes in there, let me show you what Sharia is according to the most trusted manual of what Sharia is. And let's talk about that. Everyone else knows Sharia is just praying 5 times a day. It's like, how would you not very quickly notice, actually, he's got stuff to back up what he's saying, and they're just talking. Trust me, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm just a Muslim and I'm going to say whatever I want to, and you have to believe me because I'm a Muslim, versus here's a traditional scholar, here's the source, here's what he actually says, here's the quote. I mean, how do people not see the difference between the two?
I think it's because people want to believe the niceness and
Yeah.
that it's not that bad. The truth is, it is that bad.
Yeah.
And the quicker you get your head out of the sand, the better for everyone. Because if it were all just 5 times a day pray, then where did ISIS get their Sharia from? Why don't they all peacefully pray 5 times a day and take their kids to school and go to the gym?
Oh yeah, speaking about ISIS, I just saw Tommy Robinson. He's now
Oh,
left. He now left the UK.
Any clue on where he's going?
He didn't say.
Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here.
Yeah, so I mean, because ISIS has him on a priority hit list, and so the smart thing to do is to get out of the UK immediately. Imagine he's in the UK, get out of the UK immediately. when
And he's a
on-
national hero.
Yeah,
The UK can't even protect their national heroes.
no.
They have to flee while they're alive.
So yeah. Speaking of ISIS, that's what ISIS is doing right now.
Yeah, I wonder where CAIR was. Shouldn't they be educating these guys? Shouldn't they be telling these guys what
Yeah.
Sharia really is, and that they shouldn't be
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like they're wanting to educate the American Congress on this is what the Sharia is and this is what Islam is, and they're saying don't believe Robert. This is all Islamophobic. Don't you think, like David said, don't you think you should be going to Africa and Middle East and just
Mhm.
educating these groups that are actually saying that this is part of your religion? Tell them that it's not part of their religion. Start with them.
Go to the Sharia councils in the Gulf, in
Yes.
Saudi
Yeah.
and Indonesia that do public hangings and lashings in public squares, fulfillment of Sharia legal rulings.
Yeah.
And tell them not to do that.
Yeah, start there.
Start there, because that's where it happens.
Yeah, that's normally when I'm because when someone says something, you don't know if they're sincere or not sincere, right? And in Islam, you have Muslims who believe that Islam is a religion of peace. You have Muslims who don't believe that Islam is a religion of peace. They understand that Islam calls for the violent subjugation of the world. But among Muslims who know that Islam calls for the violent subjugation of the world, you have those who will admit it and those who will lie about it in order to deceive people. And so the idea is when you have someone, a Muslim, telling you, no, Islam's a religion of peace and tolerance, it's like, okay, you may actually believe that, or you may not actually believe that. You may be trying to deceive me. How do you tell the difference? So normally the first thing I'm looking for is, who are you targeting with this?
Yeah.
Because if you really believe that Islam is a religion of peace and tolerance, your main target should be the people who are calling for violence in the name of Islam. That you should be losing your mind over that. How dare they be saying this about my peaceful, wonderful, tolerant religion? That's who you should be going after. You shouldn't be going after people who are reacting to the calls for violence. But what you normally see, especially with organizations like CAIR, they don't say anything. They don't say anything to jihadis, to people calling for the execution of apostates. They don't say anything to those guys. It's all people who react to it and trying to silence us. And it's like, all right, I do not trust you guys at all. There are some Muslims, there are Muslims I trust in terms of I believe that they're sincere in what they're saying. There are groups like CAIR where I don't trust anything you say, not a word.
Yeah, it's like going back to the clips that we were playing earlier. These Muslims were talking about that as Muslims, they need to have, you know, hatred in their heart. Actually, for you, for David Wood,
Mhm.
that's they're using him as an example. And they're saying in private, Jake tells us that he actually does hate David Wood in his heart. He actually says it to us in private. And they're saying though that, but that's not enough in Islam to just say you hate someone in your heart. You need to have actions that align with that. And so someone was like, "Oh, so you're saying you need to attack him or something?" He's like, "No, you don't need to do that, but you need to have other, you know, things in your life that they align with the hatred you have in your heart." So there is a hatred that you must have in your heart in Islam for other people, like David Wood, for
Yeah.
example. As that's what the example was.
There are
Yeah.
concepts in Islam called the love. You love for the sake of Allah and you
Yeah.
hate for the sake of Allah.
Yeah.
And all disbelievers, you have to hate them for the sake of Allah.
Yeah.
And they are theological concepts. They're there, and people talk about them.
Yeah.
So
So we should get those Muslims educating the Congress right there, because they were telling people like, this is what Jake should be doing. Jake should be doing this. Jake should be doing that. Because they weren't happy that, you know, he debated you, you know, and the other thing, amongst
But
other things.
for CAIR, all CAIR needs is one sheikh to tell them you're allowed to lie and deceive while you're
There
in the
you
land
go.
of the
There
kafirs.
you
We
go.
heard that from Muslims today.
Yeah.
Surah 3 verse 28. You're
Yep.
allowed to lie and deceive to infiltrate and get the upper hand.
So you get all these different faces of Islam. You get all these different faces of Islam.
But the last thing
And,
you want is one
yeah.
of these faces to trick you. You want someone on the outside, like Robert Spencer, who studied it, who
Yeah.
knows it, or someone who's lived it
Mhm.
to tell you.
Yeah. So, the general idea here is, like, suppose some Christian group rose up right now and said, "We are commanded to slaughter all non-Christians in the name of Jesus." I would be way more concerned about those guys who are saying that than about people reacting to it and saying, "Whoa, this is dangerous," right?
Yeah.
Like if a group of people rose up and said, "We're the true followers of Jesus and we have to kill all non-Christians," or something like that, and then all you saw me doing was trying to silence anyone who criticizes it,
Yeah. Right.
I think you'd have good grounds for thinking maybe David agrees with these guys,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. But yeah, it's you have tons of jihadis trying to subjugate the world, and then you've got all these organizations trying to silence anyone who tries to expose it. And it's like, it really looks like you guys are two sides of the same coin here. You guys are just working together in all of this. That's what it looks like. And so cool that Robert's in here. Let's see.
For non-Muslims, this means an institutionalized, highly codified second-class status that denies them basic rights. Non-Muslims living under Sharia must pay the non-Muslim poll tax, jizya, that is specified in the Quran, verse 929. This religion-based tax is designed to indicate, as the renowned Islamic scholar Ibn Kathir explained, that the non-Muslims who are paying it are disgraced, humiliated, and belittled. The non-Muslims in this state of disgrace and humiliation.
You know what's cool too? Notice, unlike the "Trust Me, Bro," Robert's giving references.
Yeah. Ibn Kathir.
Yeah.
929.
He goes 929, and it says, and Ibn Kathir's commentary. Guess what? Anyone who's watching right now can go look up Surah 929 and see what it says. And then anyone can go to look up Ibn Kathir right now and see what it says.
Yeah.
Catch him lying, guys. Catch him lying. He's not. He's telling the truth, and he's giving you the sources.
Reliance of the Traveler, too, he quoted.
Yeah.
In this state of disgrace and humiliation are not allowed to build new houses of worship or repair old ones. So their communities are in a perpetual state of decline. They are forbidden to make any public display of their religion. They're relegated to the most menial jobs in society, for they are forbidden to hold authority over Muslims. If they say anything critical about Islam, Muhammad, or the Quran, they're liable to be put to death. From all this, it is clear that Sharia is not simply Muslim personal religious law. On the contrary, Sharia-based legal and civic institutions are contrary to America's founding principles and violate federal law and the Constitution in numerous particulars. The death penalty for mentioning what Reliance of the Traveler terms as something impermissible about Allah, the Prophet, or Islam, that is blasphemy, is directly at variance with First Amendment freedom of speech protections. The Islamic imperative to establish the hegemony of Sharia as the law of the land, as in today in the Islamic Republic of Iran, Afghanistan, and elsewhere,
Let's pause that
is
for a second.
obviously.
I just wanted to, I thought of this example when he said that there are Islamic laws, Islamic rulings, that if you say that Muhammad was black, you're to be
Right.
put to death. Or if you say that he was short, or you say he would, like, you know, they consider these things insults.
Death
So
sentence.
yeah, death sentences. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's in Kitab al-Shifa, the book of Shifa, the first one.
Yep.
yeah,
And some jurisprudence of the Maliki school of thought.
Yep. So that calling Muhammad black, death sentence under Sharia.
At variance with the First Amendment principle.
What's the penalty for calling him white?
you got
Nothing.
right.
Because that's all over the Hadith.
Exactly.
You get a kiss on the forehead.
You get a star and a good job, buddy.
Good job.
You get a pat on the back.
Good job.
Of non-establishment of a religion. Even in its personal aspects, Sharia does contradict U.S. law. The Quran states that a man should beat.
Hey, that's interesting. So he pointed out that Sharia is not just this personal thing for Muslims. It's this system that is supposed to take over the government and dominate every aspect of society. But then he says, but even if you just focus on the personal aspects of Islam, in other words, the
Yeah.
things that aren't about,
Yeah.
non-Muslims and so on, just like how a Muslim is
Family
living with his
life, or-
family,
yeah.
it still doesn't line up.
Yeah.
So let me back this up. So that's good.
Where is obviously at variance with the First Amendment principle of non-establishment of a religion. Even in its personal aspects, Sharia does contradict U.S. law. The Quran states that a man should beat a woman from whom he fears disobedience. That's chapter 4, verse 34. Domestic violence is a crime in U.S. law, but it is not a crime under Sharia. And we have the example of what happened in Britain. Britain began establishing Sharia courts several years ago with the understanding that cases that came under the purview of British criminal law would be referred to the British criminal courts. Instead, the Muslim Arbitration Tribunal on its website urged the Crown Prosecution Service to reconsider bringing criminal charges against Muslim men who'd been accused of domestic violence.
Wow.
And as this is in the Quran, the same thing would happen here. As Sharia is considered divine law, those Muslims who adhere to it always consider that it takes precedence over the laws of the land. Moreover, emigration to a new land to bring Sharia to it is also an Islamic imperative. The Quran in chapter 4, verse 100 promises a reward from Allah to those who emigrate for the sake of Allah, which means for the purpose of bringing Sharia to a non-Muslim land. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Appreciate your testimony.
I think that's about as well as you can do if all you have is 5 minutes to give a presentation there.
Yeah.
So
Great job.
yeah, so I mean, he's speaking to the government here, and hey, all the people who are telling you that Sharia is just this, they're lying, and I can prove it. Here, I'll quote their sources. It's something much bigger than just this personal thing, but even on the personal, even on the interpersonal Muslim relations and so on, still doesn't line up. It's still, there are things under Sharia that you would be allowed to do in your family that would be illegal under U.S. law. And so if you're thinking about having this dual legal system where we have Sharia courts, and you think, oh, okay, well, we'll just get everyone to agree that if it's an actual criminal issue, that they have to hand it over to the U.S. government. But if it's just personal matters and so on, then they can deal with that in their Sharia courts. That's what they did in the UK. And what happened? The Muslims started insisting, hey, UK government, don't deal with the domestic stuff. Don't deal with the domestic violence stuff. Let us handle that stuff. So
Wow. It kind of reminds you of the case with Mohammed Hijab's hotel wife, Aisha. They wanted her to sign a non-disclosure, what is it called? An NDA, non-disclosure agreement on the situation that she was in. So imagine that, where you're going into these Islamic courts and you have real issues that need to be addressed, and some of these things may be crimes in the country you're in, but you're signing an NDA. I don't know how those hold up in court when it's like there's a conflict there, but they're intimidating people to not go to the British authorities if you're in the UK, for example, but to stick with them. And if you don't want to stick with them, then okay, don't go to them at all. But if you do stick with them, you need to sign on the dotted lines. And
it's just the level of stupidity from governments is just insane. I
Yeah.
mean, you'd expect some degree of common sense and some connection with reality. And like with Islam, hang on, let me check real quick. With Islam in particular, there have been, since the 9/11 attacks, 48,944 deadly Islamic terrorist attacks that have resulted in at least one death. 48,944
Wow.
attacks
Wow.
since 9/11. And it's like, what does it take to get people to realize maybe I shouldn't be listening to this Muslim organization who's telling me Islam's all peaceful and tolerant and that anyone who disagrees is an Islamophobe? Maybe the government itself, or at least some some group in the government, really needs to just go through all this stuff. I mean, it's not like it's impossible. It's like you've got
Yeah.
all the books right there.
Yeah.
There's all the books. There's the Quran, there's the Hadith, there's this manual of Sharia. Why don't you guys go through this and check out what it says so you actually have some clue what you're talking about? It's like, no, that would be Islamophobic, we've been told. Bunch of
Or
idiots.
if they're too lazy to read it, have Robert Spencer or someone like him, to tell you who's spent his life studying it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that'd be Islamophobic. to listen to
Yeah,
Robert
that's
Spencer.
what they do. Don't
Yeah.
look into it. Like if you look into it for yourself, then you're an Islamophobe. If you
Yeah.
let us tell you what it believes, oh, and who are you? We're the guys trying to silence you to pave the way for the people who are coming in to subjugate you. It's like
And you
insane.
know there are parallels there too with how Muslims treat their own. Like when you have a Muslim who's like doubting Islam or something like that, or he's like looking into things or whatever, he's questioning, they tell him the same thing. Don't stop reading. Come to us. Let us do the let's do the understanding for you. You come to us. You trust us.
Mhm.
When you have a question, let us, deal with the doubt for you. Like that's how they are with their own community as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
matter of fact, yeah, like as the parallel, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, let us tell you. So I mean, if you're talking about like the government, it's
Yeah,
hey, U.S. government, hey, all Western governments, media personnel, educators, everyone, don't listen to anyone who says something different from what you're telling us. They're evil people. We're the only ones that you can trust. And so let us tell you what we want you to think while we cover for those people who are actually trying to subjugate you. But yes, I mean, think about like Sneeko. So it's the same methodology with like winning reverts and stuff for people who are, as you were pointing out, people who are doubting.
Yeah.
Look what happened when Sneeko showed up to Speaker's Corner, and he's saying, "Yep,
Oh,
he's saying there's one Quran." And
Yeah.
Chris is like, "You saying there's one Quran? What do you do with all these different? What are you doing with all these different Kirat and so on? They have different Qurans in different parts of the world." And the Warner,
Of all people.
yeah, standing behind Sneeko, pretty creepy. You don't want that dude behind you. But the Warner standing right there jumps in. No, those are just different dialects. Total lie, right? Chris points out they're not different dialects. They're not. And Chris starts breaking it down. And the Warner he turns to Sneeko and goes, "Who are you going to believe? Me, a Muslim, or a non-Muslim?"
Yep.
And it's like, wait, the Muslim is flat out lying to you.
Yeah.
The Christian is telling you the truth, but they're just setting it up so you're bad if you listen to the Christian who's telling you the truth. You're good if you're listening to your fellow Muslim who's lying to you. But it's the same thing. It's like, believe our lies and not the people who are exposing our lies. And it's like, you guys got a sick, evil ideology here.
Yes. Really bad.
Well, they have to ask themselves, has it worked? Has it worked for the West to listen to Muslims who lie to them about what Islam really is? They keep saying peace, and then every day there's a bomb blowing off, or a terrorist attack, or someone being stabbed on a bridge, or some guy running through a crowd of people in a Christmas market with a van. Every time, has it worked that you believe them? So if reality is always showing you something different, you keep trying to come at it the same, or let's bring more Muslims in to tell us what it is so we can solve this. And there are others who are saying, like Robert Spencer and
Yeah.
others, we have evidence to the contrary. Or just look at Muslim countries.
Yeah.
Are they bastions of peace and harmony and domestic harmony? Are they? Have you seen how Afghanistan treats their women? How Saudi treats their women?